So this meeting is now being recorded. Once again, welcome everyone. Tonight we'll be presenting the DigiU blueprint for decentralized personal artificial intelligence. We'll be talking about more than just the use of AI tools. We'll be discussing the opportunity to become a co-owner of a $1 trillion global ecosystem that spans across AI, hardware gadgets, and financial technologies. Ladies and gentlemen, this presentation is about the strategic bridge round for the DigiU ecosystem. Now, let us begin by understanding why the company exists. Every company exists because of a problem. Every company that produces or serves a need, that has a product or renders a service, exists in order to solve a problem. So what problem has necessitated the creation of this company? We must first look at the state of the digital world as it is today and the problems, and then see where this company fits in and the solution this company is offering. Now let us start with the dependency crisis that is currently a major feature of the artificial intelligence market. There is dependency from corporations and governments as well as individuals who want to develop artificial intelligence systems. There's a huge dependency on corporations that currently have over 90% or control over 90% of the GPU market. Companies like NVIDIA, companies like recently SpaceX, companies that have the access to develop centralized artificial intelligence processors, and they have the ability to rent out computing power. These companies, they more or less control access to that industry, because should you be a corporation, a government, or even an individual that seeks to develop anything that is related to artificial intelligence, you need computing power. And let me put that in a little bit of perspective for you. Recently, there was this news. I'm going to share a link to the news at the end of this call. And the news was that SpaceX just did their IPO. But even before they did their IPO, SpaceX has been receiving partnership and proposals from companies such as Google that they want to rent computing power from SpaceX, because SpaceX is also looking at developing basically, I would call it like having their satellites. As a matter of fact, what we'll just do is I would share the news, because it's going to be more interactive for you if you can see what I'm saying. I want to show you figures that companies are proposing to pay in order to rent computing power from SpaceX, so that you can have a picture, a mental picture of the kind of money that is in that particular market. So in a moment, I will share my browser screen, and then I'm going to search for a particular news. Okay, just confirm if you can see my screen. So I'm searching how much is Google planning to pay SpaceX for computing power. And You can see the results. I don't know if you can see this, but let me just zoom in a little bit. Please confirm if you can see the screen I'm on right now is a screen, a Google search screen showing. Just a moment, something is obstructing my screen. Let me remove it. So I don't know if you can see what is currently on my screen. Just give me a plus. If you can see this, just type yes in the chat. Because I cannot see the screen right now. I don't know what you can see, but awesome. Thank you, Mr. Gabe, for that feedback. So it says Google has agreed to pay SpaceX $920 million each month starting from October of 2026 up until June of 2029 for artificial intelligence computing power. Please take note. They are paying for artificial intelligence computing power. I'm going to highlight that. The total value of this deal exceeds 30 billion if it runs its full duration. What are they paying for? They are paying for hardware access. Hardware access, monthly fee gives Google access to a massive cluster of 110,000 NVIDIA GPUs, graphic processing units, along with the associated central processing units, memory, and related infrastructure. Let me just break this down. SpaceX is building their centralized data servers, GPUs, CPUs, memory, etc. But they are building in space because that's what the company has been able to do. They have launched satellites to space and they've been able to start building some things like, for example, you see if you use there's this device they have that you can use for data connectivity, and the satellites they have in space is connected directly to that device. So when you use it to browse, your browsing is much faster than the regular browsing with 4G, etc. So they are using the space to their advantage, and they are currently building servers in space, and Google is paying $920 million per month to access what they are building. And what are they looking to use this access for? For developing artificial intelligence, and what they are paying for is computing power. Please take note of this, I'm going somewhere. So they are paying for hardware access, and this gives them access to the cluster of 110,000 NVIDIA GPUs. NVIDIA is a different company from SpaceX. It's a different company from SpaceX, and what they do is they make graphic processing units. Now, with all this in your mind, I'm now going to go back to the slide so that what I'm saying will be more relevant and make more sense to you. In just a moment, you should see my screen. Confirm if you can see it. Give me a plus. You see my screen, just give me a plus. I don't see any feedback. Is my screen visible from your end? Just give me a plus so that I can go on. Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Franklin. I'm trying to connect with another device so that I can see as well as follow the presentation, because I need the feedback as well. I need to know if my technical setup is working. So just give me a minute. Let me connect to the meeting with my other device and be able to see as well as follow the presentation. Now, like we've just seen, SpaceX is getting almost over $900 million every month from Google. And Google is not the only company, take note. Many other companies are paying SpaceX in similar deals. You can research this after this webinar. Now, this is to tell you that if a company wants to do something related to artificial intelligence, they need massive computing power. And they don't just need it, they are willing to pay so much money for it. Because artificial intelligence development requires a large amount of processing power, computing power, as well as data storage. And SpaceX has access to this.
Recording in progress.
Sorry, one moment. Okay, SpaceX has access to this infrastructure, and so they are getting paid for it. Another company like NVIDIA also has a monopoly of the GPU market, because you can even see SpaceX is also using NVIDIA GPUs for what they are building. Now, if you look at companies like NVIDIA, SpaceX, Microsoft, Alphabet, these companies, they have a chokehold in the artificial intelligence market. They basically control over 90% of the market. Now, what has this created? It has created a kind of dependency. If you are an individual or a corporation or a government agency that wants to develop artificial intelligence, you need these companies to give you their infrastructure access, and you pay for it. You don't just pay for it. As you use it, your information is also being saved in their servers. In this model, you can see that you are like a tenant that is renting a house that you don't own, and you constantly have to pay. Now, if you come down to the individual level, those of us that are not developing or building anything artificial intelligence related, we are just using the tools that others have built, we still follow a similar tenancy model, in the sense that we are using the artificial intelligence tools to improve our productivity, which is normal. If you don't use them, those who are using them will be more productive than you. So they will basically distance you in that global competition. You will lose out. So you have to actually upskill with the AI technology. You have to add it to your workflow so that you can work better. And as you're doing that, you are prompting, you are refining these tools with your engagement. Your data is being used to improve these tools. Now, whether you choose to believe it or not, if you open a tool like Manus AI, ChatGPT, for instance, you will see options to provide your data for the tool to learn. It can be optional. In some cases, it is mandatory. For you to register on Manus AI, you encounter a field, a page that requires you to consent that your information will be used to help the system develop. Now, this is kind of like your activities is making the system better, and yet you are paying subscription to use the system. To put it in context, it's kind of like somebody owns a poultry and then he's rearing these birds to sell them either as broilers, or is using them to lay eggs and sell the eggs in order to make profit. The expectation is that since this person is going to profit from this business, he's also responsible for training the birds until they get to maturity to either start laying eggs or to be sold for meat. Now, if there is such a model where someone else is going to train the birds, buy their feed, buy their medicine, at the end of the day, the owner will now come and collect the profit from the sales of those eggs and those broilers as meat. Does it make sense? One person is paying to train the bird, and that person that is paying does not participate in the profits when the eggs are sold in the market. In fact, when that person that is paying to train the birds wants to buy egg from the owner, he still has to pay. Is that model practical in your opinion? If it's practical, put plus. If it doesn't seem practical or it doesn't seem fair, put minus. So let's vote. The model that I have just described, if it sounds to you like a practical and a fair model, give me a plus. If it doesn't seem like a practical or a fair model, give me a minus. Okay, Mr. Franklin says it is fair that someone else is training the birds and then he's not participating in the profit. He's buying the food the birds will eat. At the end of the day, the person who owns the bird, who is not paying to train them, is the one that gets all the profits. As a matter of fact, let's say Mr. A pays to train the birds and Mr. B, who owns the bird, collects all the profits when the eggs are sold. And Mr. A, if he needs egg, has to still pay Mr. B in order to obtain those eggs. So Mr. Franklin is saying that this is fair. Well, I beg to disagree, because usually it is better for the owner to also take responsibility for paying for the cost of training the birds. It is you who will take responsibility for the profit when those birds begin to make profit. So someone else should not be training your birds, and at the end of the day, that person that trains the bird does not get any part of the profit. I think the fair thing to do is that if I have paid or in some way contributed to the training of this particular resource, by the time the resource now begins to fetch a profit, I should participate in it somewhat. Anyway, in the use of artificial intelligence, we are training models. Models are becoming smarter. They are creating higher versions of these models and charging us higher subscription fee. You go to a tool like ChatGPT, it has various subscription options. You have the Plus, which I think costs around 16,500 per month. Then there is the Pro, which I think costs around 248,000 naira per month. These are various models that are smarter in degrees based on the data that it has gotten from people's interaction. Now, it's not a bad thing. However, the people that are training these models are not being paid for it. In fact, they are paying to use the model. And I feel that this is not fair, and I'm not the only one who feels that way. This company, DigiU, also sees that this is a model that does not seem fair, and they have actually decided to do something that, in their opinion, is a fairer picture of how artificial intelligence usage and ownership should be. So what have they decided to do? They have decided to return control back to the individuals. They have decided to give you control of your data. That is, the information that the artificial intelligence tool is getting from you should not be going to one centralized server somewhere, but it should be within your control. And you should be able to participate in that computing power that you just saw SpaceX is earning 920 million per month from Google in order to access computing power. DigiU's model is saying that individuals should be able to have computing power, they should be able to rent it out and get paid for it. That is their model. And I will tell you before the end of this presentation how they intend to make this model work. Okay, I already spoke about this particular slide in great extent, talking about how if you do not evolve with the trends, you lose out. So you have no choice but to evolve. But right now, evolution actually follows a channel that you have to be a tenant in someone else's tool. You have to pay for usage as well as receive no profit from the growth of that tool. Now, do you also know that the AI market, for those of you who are wondering, has been projected to grow up to 4.8 trillion by year 2023. Currently, the market is valued at 189 billion. In fact, the $189 billion valuation was 2025. In 2025, They valued the market at $189 billion. According to UN Trade and Development UNCTAD report, that was the valuation, and they projected that it will grow to $4.8 trillion by 2033. Now, what's going to happen to you or me is that we will either be in one of two positions in this market. Either we will be positioned as consumers, using the tools that others are creating, renting and paying for those tools, or we will position ourselves as owners, owning the infrastructure, getting paid for the usage of the infrastructure, and controlling our data. Now, let us talk about DigiU's paradigm shift. Decentralized personal artificial intelligence. DigiU is a company that is looking at this problem and saying that, okay, how do we solve this? And they are saying they want to create a system where to have ownership and profitability in the usage of computing power, and this model breaks corporate monopolies because it returns computing power back to individuals in the form of decentralized personal artificial intelligence. Now, the model is that every individual will be able to have AI hubs, which will have computing power, and all these hubs will be part of a larger network. This AI hub will work in conjunction with AI gadgets that the individuals will also have. All these gadgets used by the individual will be able to learn about the individual's activities. So if this person is a doctor or an engineer or a stockbroker, trader, whatever it is this person is doing, the gadgets you wear, your AI glasses, for example, your AI smartwatch, AI trackers, AI cards, they will learn all your activities and then send that data to your personal supercomputer, your AI hub. This supercomputer is going to be a localized personal hardware that stores your data that is within your control and also has computing power that can be connected to a shared network and also rented out, such that if you are not using the full capacity of your AI supercomputer, your AI hub, the extra unused capacity of your AI hub can be rented out and you can be paid for it. Furthermore, as this AI hub getting all the data of what you do is learning more about you, it will now be able to act the same things you do. It will be able to do them like an AI agent, work on your behalf, so that while you are resting, while you are doing something else, this device will be like your digital twin, able to work on your behalf, able to do the task that you do, able to earn for you. Furthermore, after the individual probably passes on, what this device has, the information it has gathered about this individual is still preserved, and it now leaves a form of digital footprint and a form of digital identity and legacy for the individual. This is what the company is building. A system where you own your own data, you own your own computing power, your devices learn about you and the information stays with you. It doesn't go someplace else. It stays within your control. Your AI personal assistant can work for you, earn money for you, and your computing power resources that is not used can be rented out to earn you more income. Furthermore, you can even become a co-owner in the company. And we'll talk about that in the later part of this presentation. But for now, I want us to see this video.
For every important part of life, we got a separate device. For health, for memory, for money. But what if the essentials could come together in one? On your wrist, a device that understands your body, tracking strain, noticing stress, helping you know when to push forward and when to recover. In the middle of your day, it captures what matters: conversations, decisions, next steps, turning speech into structure and giving you back clarity, focus, and control. And when it comes to money, it makes action effortless. Pay in one motion, stay connected to your financial tools, and keep digital assets closer, safer, and easier to manage. One band, one app, one system that brings together your health, your actions, and your assets in one clear view. And beyond the wrist, it becomes part of something bigger: your band, your app, and a protected AI layer at home. Through the day, it helps you act, and at home, it returns what your day has learned to your personal protected space: private, connected, working in your interest. This is more than a wearable. It is the first step into a new personal ecosystem. One band, one app, one ecosystem.
So this is the ecosystem or the suite that DigiU is building, comprising the AI hub, which is your personal home supercomputer, then AI wearables such as AI glasses and watches, even AI cards. All these devices are integrated into a decentralized network which has local storage, which makes sure that all the information goes into your own device and stays within your control. So it ensures your data stays private. It also allows you to share computing power, that is your device's computing power, through the DigiU Super app. So it will be your device will not be a standalone device. It can be a standalone device, or it can be connected to a decentralized network of such devices. Other people's devices all come together in a form of a decentralized network where you can share computing power with someone, for example, who requires more computing power to run a task, and that person can pay you directly. That's the transformation that they are offering, moving us from just being the consumers of artificial intelligence tools and technology to becoming the co-owners of such tools and such technology, owning computing power, and also owning stake in the company itself. The company, you are also a co-owner in their venture capital fund, and they have invested in different projects. So their portfolio currently has over 30 high-tech projects, and they are targeting now these companies that they have invested in. Some of them have gone on to be unicorns. Some of them have returned massive ROI to the company, as a result of which they have been able to pay their investors dividends 6 times in the last 5 years. And also they have the partnership program where they distribute bonuses to members of their community who actively grow the community. And they have been able to so far distribute over $2 million. All right, I'm trying to join with my laptop. The network just logged me out, and I'm trying to rejoin the call. Just give me a few minutes while I resolve this network challenge. Okay, just a few minutes. I'll soon be rejoining the call. You see, I was saying earlier in this presentation, and okay. Remember, when I say okay, you reply all right by typing it in the chat. So first of all, sorry about that network interruption. I'm connecting my using my wired connection for my laptop, and a message from MTN, my network service provider, came in and it interrupted the network. You know what happens when you receive a message and it disrupts your data? And just that little thing was able to take me out of this meeting for almost 30 seconds. See, honestly, there are several challenges that we have to deal with, especially in this part of the world, that our colleagues that are in more developed climes may never ever experience. In people's houses elsewhere, they can access Wi-Fi connections that are reliable. So the solutions that people are building most times is targeted to solving third world African problems, such like network. You see this product by SpaceX. I can't remember the name, but that thing that you can use like a satellite you mount that gives you direct connection to the SpaceX satellite, and you have direct, I think it's called something link, but that's Space Link. But many people are buying that thing. It's not exactly cheap. Many people are buying it because if you do the kind of work that requires you to be online most of the time, you will realize very quickly that many of our network providers are unreliable. And when you talk about the regulatory agencies that should checkmate this kind of behavior, they don't do their jobs as well or well enough. So we have to deal with challenges that our counterparts in more developed places will never have to deal with. For instance, I'm having this meeting with a generator because I cannot dare depend on PHCN in order to hold this meeting. But anyway, let's move on. So I'm going to share my screen again. Really sorry for that interruption. We have just wasted time that we could have used to advance forward with our presentation because of network interruption, and I really apologize for that. I wish there was a way I could ensure that those interruptions are put to the barest minimum, but please just bear with me. Now, so where was I? Yes, I was talking about digital identity and digital immortality. See, let us face fact. Those of us on this call, I'm sure you were not, in fact, last year you celebrated the birthday, This year you're going to celebrate another one. You plan to probably get up to, I don't know, maybe you can tell me by writing in the chat, what age do you want to live up to? Because if you tell some people to get up to maybe like 100, they will tell you no. They don't want to live that long because they don't want to become feeble in old age and become a dependent person and having to rely on people. They feel like they may not be so strong when they grow so old. But the point is they are conscious of their mortality. They know that at some point this flesh will give way to get weak and it will eventually return to dust from whence it came. Everybody has that consciousness that a day is coming when you'll be no more. So give me your feedback in the chat. What age you think you want to live up to? Personally, if I'm going to have strength, then I would like to have a very long and fulfilled life. I'm not going to tell you how old I intend to be, but if you are comfortable sharing your own, you can just let me know in the chat. Now, gentlemen, people will pass on. It's a fact. A time will come that everybody that knows you will be dead. And it will be as if you never existed. Let me say that again. A time will come. I did not say a time will come that you will die. I say a time will come that everybody that knows you will have died. You know, when I was in the university, and for those of you who did those courses that are more than 4 years in the university, you can relate with this. When you start, you are in your year 1, year 2, especially in your year 2, you move around campus, you will see a lot of familiar faces. You will see the people you know that are your senior colleagues, the ones you met in school. But when you start to get to your final year, many of those people who used to be ahead of you would have graduated. You will now see only those people that you met in final year. That is those of you that came in the same set. So you will see less or you will see fewer familiar faces. Now, if your course is more than 4 years, in your 5th year or your 6th year, chances are you will not see so many familiar faces except maybe your colleagues. True or false? Now, while you're thinking about that, the same thing happens in life. You see, in life, especially our old parents, some of them that have already, most of their friends and colleagues have passed on, some of them you will talk to them and they will say things like, they can't wait to go. They cannot really see what they have not already experienced and they are just waiting for their time here to be over. What do I mean? A point is coming that one will eventually have to leave this earth. The knowledge that you've gathered, everything that you know, in fact, the secrets that you keep only in your memory or you pass through the channels of oral communication to close members of your family, and then they have to retain it in their memory. The truth is, memory is not the best place to preserve legacy, because if you tell somebody something, after some time they forget almost 90% of the information that you shared, as far as there was no means of recording that thing, maybe through writing or through some other means, just memory. So, ladies and gentlemen, it becomes important to preserve knowledge, that we have a way to store information in order to be able to, brilliant mind like that of Albert Einstein and other people who have done amazing things that help the world advance. For example, Thomas Edison, etc. People who are inventors, scientists, geniuses in their respective fields, all these brilliant minds. Imagine that you could still interact with them and get feedback from them as though they were there. Think about how the world will be able to advance even much further. This AI hub that DigiU is creating has the capacity to preserve the digital footprint of the user such that we can now achieve digital immortality. The person has but because all the data of that, you can still interact with that person as though. It means that families can preserve their legacy in the form of digital immortality and digital. You can have a digital version of you. So this is something that, if you think about it, can actually help to preserve knowledge. Now, you might have different opinions about this based on maybe you don't support the concept, maybe it doesn't go against, or it goes against your beliefs. But if you think about it as a means of preserving knowledge, you can see it is going to help society advance even much quicker. Because there are some people who, not by any choice of theirs, have taken meaningful knowledge to the grave. There are families that their breadwinner died without leaving his will. And as a result, family treasure, family asset did not pass from one hand to the other. And so families where maybe the breadwinner died and then there was no proper means of passing on their accumulated wealth. Especially now that we have wealth that are in digital wallets. Imagine such a situation, and the family will begin to suffer despite the fact that they have some money somewhere, but they cannot access it because the person who had the knowledge is gone. So this is something that can help to prevent such a scenario. Moving on, let us talk about how DigiU creates value for the community. Now, DigiU does this in two ways. The first is DigiU has AI and blockchain labs. In these AI and blockchain labs, they make AI products. These products are funded by the community. They are also tested by the community. When these products are seen as viable, are seen as should I use the word usable and meaningful to scale and bring profit, the members of the community receives this profit in the form of dividends, in the form of buybacks, in the form of bonuses. So they create products. In fact, they have some products like the 𝗪𝗪U assistant. They also have, when you check your back office, you go into your back office, you will see all the products that they have developed and the ones they are developing. So you can actually interact with some of the tools they have created. They have an AI assistant called DigiU Alpha, which you can interact with on Telegram as well as in your back office. So some of these products, when they begin to bring profit, for instance, if they take their AI 𝗪𝗪U and they make it available for people to use and pay subscriptions, those of us who are co-owners in the community begin to receive profits in the form of dividends. So these products they make, we can test it, give feedback. They can further develop the product until it is suitable to be launched in the market in a scale where it returns profit, and this profit is now distributed back to the community. So that's one way that this company creates value for the community. The second way, digital fund. The company has a venture capital arm, which is called 𝗪𝗿𝗄𝗎 Capital. 𝗪𝗿𝗄𝗎 Capital invests in AI, blockchain, and fintech. And these investments in these projects, some of them become successful to the community. And the money is also shared among the community according to the amount of stake in your ownership. So the venture fund incubates and finances high-tech projects, and we already have many examples of successful projects that the venture capital fund has incubated and financed. One example is 𝗲𝗏. 𝗲𝗏 is a cross-chain decentralized exchange which was financed through DigiU's venture capital fund. We have 𝗪𝗡, which deals with real estate tokenization. We have many of such projects. In fact, one of our projects won $1 million from a show called Meet the Drapers. So these are some of the startups that DigiU has funded and financed, and they have made profit from, and members of the community have participated in that profit. Now, in DigiU's model, wealth is redistributed to the members of the community. And the ultimate goal of the venture capital fund of DigiU is to scale up to the point of $1 billion capitalization. So it's advisable at this time to consider owning a stake in this project in order to participate in every project the venture capital fund will be investing into, and the profits that such projects might yield. Now here we are comparing two things: DigiU's decentralized sovereignty model versus decentralized monopoly model. And you can see that in the centralized model, there is a heavy reliance on corporate cloud harvesting of your personal information and your data. And there is a perpetual tenancy model where you pay for the software as a service and you continue to pay despite the fact that it is your activities that refine the model. Whereas in the DigiU model, you as the user, you control your data in a local storage, you rent part of your AI hub's computing power and you earn from it, and their financial model is based on the co-ownership of the DigiU company, the DigiU ecosystem, and participation in the wealth redistribution. As you are a co-owner, you can also participate in the distribution of dividends. If the company eventually goes public, you can sell your stake for several times what you got them for. So you are moving away from the tenancy model to the model where you are a participant, where you are an owner, and where you can create a digital version of yourself, a sovereign digital double. You are moving away from centralized remote servers to personal in-home devices. So this is the difference in these two models. And now one of the things that DigiU is projecting will happen is that this is an inevitable development. As a matter of fact, they looked at the evolution of personal computer as a lesson from history that can tell us the evolution that AI will follow. If you look at personal computers, they were not always small devices in your house. We used to have a model of computing access where it was owned by companies, and for you to use computer or the internet, you had to go somewhere. You had to go to a large, in fact, there were computers that were kept in rooms as large, even larger than my room. In fact, houses just to hold the computer. And from that model, where it was controlled by organizations and corporations, it has evolved up to the point where each individual now has in their own house their personal computer. Some people even have more than one. Now, if you look at that, excuse me, if you look at that trend, DigiU is saying the same thing will take place in the evolution of AI. AI will move from being centralized to being decentralized. It will move from being owned by corporations to being owned by individuals. And they are leading the charge in this direction because they envision that the future is going to eventually move, AI is going to move to personal home devices. So they are moving ahead of that evolution to prepare the infrastructure for that model so that by the time people now start using smart AI devices at home, they already have AI hubs and gadgets that are already integrated to that AI hub, and the market, they're already ready before the market. How do you make money? By seeing where the world is going and going there first, so that by the time they get there, you are ready to profit from that market. Now let us look at what the company has already done, because it is just it is not the best thing to rely on the projections of the future. When you say, okay, this is what you want to do, another question that should follow is, what have you already done? Where is your track record that you can show us, for us to now say, if you say you are going here and you haven't done anything, then we probably don't believe you have the capacity to do what you say you want to do. But if you can show us some proof, then we can say, okay, we can begin to take you seriously. So what has the company already done? Gentlemen and ladies, over the last 5 years, they've grown their community to over 150,000 partners across 184 countries. Out of those 150,000 partners, 24,000 have become co-owners. That means they have become investors in the company and they have owned stake in the company. Most importantly, they have paid out over $2 million in commercial product bonuses. They have completed 6 dividend rounds, and the total of what they have distributed in dividends have reached over $340,000. They also have a fintech product in the form of 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗍. Now, this fintech product, I'm going to show you more about this fintech product in the very next slide. But before I go there, these are case studies from the DigiU portfolio that have become unicorn. What is a unicorn? A unicorn is a project that hits over $1 million capitalization. And this includes projects in their portfolio that have reached this status include 𝗟𝗏, Binary X, and Token Estate. I already said this before that the DigiU venture capital arm is projecting to reach a capitalization of $1 billion, and they are also developing fintech products and payment solutions that will help to channel and route funds and connect various payment providers, creating the most efficient payment solution for a global market such as Africa. We're going to see a short video that illustrates this in more details, and then we'll come back to the presentation and conclude.
of moving money, but securing it. When local currencies lose value, people and businesses look for more stable ways to store money, often in stronger currencies like the dollar. The issue also lies in getting a fair rate, or simply finding enough liquidity when it is needed. Businesses face the same fragmentation. A merchant may want to accept every major way customers pay: bank transfer, card, mobile money, wallet, cash-based flows, but cannot easily connect them all. A business may collect money one way, pay suppliers another way, manage cash somewhere else, and still track everything manually. Atomization slows businesses big and small. When money needs to move across borders, the fragmentation becomes even harder. A family waits for support sent from another country. A customer wants to pay in one market using the payment method they trust in another. A growing business wants to reach new markets, but disconnected systems slow everything down. So people and businesses are pushed into workarounds, from one bank or wallet to another, from mobile money into cash, from cash into exchange networks, sometimes from fiat to crypto, and from crypto back to fiat, simply to move value where it needs to go, or store it in something more stable. Africa does not need another isolated payment app. It needs a better way for financial systems to work together, a smart financial layer that connects banks, cards, mobile money, wallets, cash networks, exchange points, crypto, local payment systems, and cross-border payments into one coordinated network. This layer connects financial systems and helps to choose the best route for money to move. Using AI, it can help decide whether value should move through a bank, a card network, mobile money, cash access, exchange points, or crypto rails, based on speed, cost, liquidity, reliability, and how people need to receive, use, or store value. Not to replace what already exists, but to connect it and route value more intelligently through it, so people can pay with the method they already use, so families can receive money more clearly and conveniently, so merchants can accept more payments, so businesses can manage incoming payments, outgoing payments, liquidity, and reporting through one connected layer. This is how fragmented financial systems become a stronger African network. This is bigger than payments alone. It is about helping African markets connect more seamlessly to each other and more powerfully to the global financial system. This will not be built by technology alone. It will be built with investors, financial institutions, mobile money players, crypto partners, payment providers, and local operators, market by market, corridor by corridor. We are building the financial layer for the next era of African commerce. Join us in building it.
Okay, welcome back. So that last invitation on the video said we are building the next evolution of payment systems in Africa. Join us in building it. So let me ask those of you on this call right now, is this a vision you would like to participate in? Just write your answer. And as you do, let us talk about the validation, institutional validation, and legal framework of this company. Our company has solid legal framework. They have a state IT accreditation. They have a holding company registered in the EU jurisdiction. They have secured ISIN via the Cyprus Stock Exchange, and they are currently undergoing institutional auditing because they want to transition towards Series A financing. Now, where do you come in? This company is currently in what is known as a bridge round, which is a strategic window wherein which we can secure co-ownership in this ecosystem by buying their units. These are units that will later become shares as the company goes public, and this is the best, or let me say most affordable time to come in before they hit their $1 billion capitalization target. When you come into the ecosystem, you own a stake not just in the AI and blockchain lab, you own a stake in the venture capital fund and everything that that fund is developing. This bridge round aims to raise $50 million for a 10% stake in the company, and it is aimed to span across 12 stages. Currently, they are in stage 3 of the bridge round, and it's important to mention here that the window of opportunity to become an owner in this particular company is estimated to close in the next 12 to 24 months. If this bridge round of funding closes, the barrier to enter into this project would have increased. Why is that? Because you might have to pay more to secure the portions of this company or the shares of this company when the valuation is higher, or when they exit into the stock market or transition into Series A. You might be paying a lot more than you would have paid during this bridge round. Now, one of the transformation that this company is offering, we've said before, is to move us from being consumers to becoming co-owners. And as a co-owner, you're not just using the company's products, you're also investing in their venture capital arm, and you are owning a stake in their portfolio, which currently has over 30 high-tech projects. They are targeting a capitalization of $1 billion. A company that is still in the startup has already paid dividends 6 times in 5 years. That should tell you something. They have distributed over $2 million in commercial bonuses to the members of their community, and that, again, should tell you something. They are building things that are futuristic. They are creating things that will help to preserve memory, preserve knowledge, creating digital doubles. They are helping to preserve the data of the individuals and ensure data sovereignty, your data in your control. They are creating a model where people will not just use AI tools, they'll be able to rent out computing power and get paid for it. They are basically helping people to monetize AI without doing any heavy lifting. Do you not think that such a product will scale and dominate the market? They also have their fintech product, 𝗪𝗿𝗍, which is developing payment solutions. So all the most exciting areas such as AI, blockchain, and fintech, this company is playing in those spaces, and not just by themselves. They are also investing in projects in those spaces. Gentlemen and ladies, I will leave it at that. Do your own due diligence and make an informed decision. Now, you can secure this company's stake at units are selling for $0.0036 per share. And their packages, well, their packages are very affordable. They also have installmental payment plans, and all of this is backed by a 14-day full refund guarantee, so that if you should change your mind within 14 days that maybe this is no longer for you, you can still get a full refund. So the entry into this project, as well as subsequent investments, is accessible and is free of risk. They have different levels of participation. You can participate as an individual, You can participate as a club. You can participate as a venture capital. So at this stage, if you wish to get started, get back to the person that invited you to this presentation, create a DigiU account that will help you access all the benefits of membership. And then when you have completed the setup of your account by verification and completion of your KYC, you'll be able to use that account to pick a package and participate in this project. The window is closing, the shares are not waiting, the price is going up, and delay will not be in your best interest. I'll leave it at that and open the floor for questions, comments, as well as contributions.